The following may contain language that is not appropriate for all audiences. You know, small children, people that are easily offended, whatnot. Hey everybody, thank you for joining us here again on the Low Fact Podcast. It's Matt and Dave here.
What's up?
Andy's been a little busy, so he's not been in front of the mics, but he's been editing our stuff, so we'd like to give him a shout out here.
Plus, he's been adding some of his new music, so check it out.
Well, if you're listening, then they have checked it out.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope you're enjoying the new music. So I guess the podcast topic for today would is just something that it seems like all the podcast topics are things that I've just kind of noticed. And one of the things that I've noticed is there's a real deeper, seemingly deeper, heavy desire among folks to always want to appear sympathetic. And when I say sympathetic, it's not necessarily just sympathetic, but yeah, sympathetic, a little weak even.
How is sympathy weak?
Mm-hmm.
How is being sympathetic weak?
Well, that's the way I'm couching it in this.
Okay.
In this thing, I mean, sympathy. You don't really have any sympathy for someone stronger than you, do you?
Well, I never thought of it that way. I never thought of sympathy. I just thought of sympathy as being something you give, irrespective of whether someone's strong or weak.
But sympathy is something that you give, or a feeling that you have for someone. And, you know, in some commercials, something, it's kind of a, I don't know, is it really like empathy, really? Well, you know, you feel sympathy, you feel some type of connection, like.
See, I think of sympathy as just like if somebody has suffered a loss, you would be sympathetic and say,
but
I'm sorry for your loss.
But that's, you never really focus on that loss. For example, if you had heard about some third world dictator whose wife had left him,
mm-hmm.
you wouldn't really feel bad for the guy whose wife had left him if he was like a.
No, you would not.
Right?
No. So the question is, what is the question?
Well, it just had to do with sympathy. It just there's a in life, in society, you really have to appear to be sympathetic, agreeable, someone likable.
That's true
in one sense, but sympathetic in the sense that one way that people, or one avenue of sympathy, I guess, is people feel sympathy for people that they feel are hard done by, or people that they feel a little superior to. Or people that they feel have had a bad shake in life, right?
See, that's not where I took it, because I was thinking of the death of Kobe Bryant this week, and how everybody has expressed sympathy, like across the board. People have expressed sympathy for his wife and family. But I didn't think of that in the context of either looking down on somebody or, I mean,
to use that as an example, you feel bad for these family members that have lost their family member.
Right.
Would you feel the same sympathy if we were alive? Would you feel the same? Would you feel the same for a Hitler type character whose family died in a plane crash?
No.
I mean, you'd probably feel bad for the family members, but what if the family members were all very Hitler-esque too?
Then no.
So what if you had a family of just these incredibly terrible people, and a bunch of them died in a plane crash, and some of them survived? Would you really care about any of those people?
There would be no outpouring or...
Oh, there'd be a giant outpouring if you lived in that country.
Of like, good riddance.
No, you'd be like, oh, I feel, you know, if that person's still in power and still had an iron grip on all the force in the country, then yeah, there'd be a whole lot of like public displays of crying and beating of breast and gnashing of teeth. Because you wouldn't want that dictator to be like, I don't feel that person is feeling enough enough distress
Leave
over
it to you to think up that example.
What?
The example of the false sympathy under the dictatorial regime.
Well, it's just I see a lot of that false
But do you think that?
feelings.
How do you know?
What?
How do you know whether it's false or not?
It's merely an assumption. Like if I see something on TV of some dictator who died, and then you see the shots in the streets of all the people just, oh, our great leader is dead.
Like, I'm grieving harder than you.
And then you hear about all these things this great leader did, like, killed off a bunch of their people, starved everybody, hoarding money, all these things that you would think, I don't think anyone would be very happy about.
Okay, but what about the Kobe Bryant example?
What about it?
So he's beloved because of his basketball career and because of the stuff that he did since he retired. But I can't help there's a part of me that's like, if it was somebody else, like, so just like if it wasn't Kobe Bryant,
If it was someone who's not famous?
yeah, like that kind of stuff happens all the time, and nobody takes any interest. And I mean, you don't get this,
Well, you
don't
probably
get this
because they didn't know that person.
right.
So what's the point?
Well, my point is are all these people expressing sympathy? Are they really sympathetic, or
Are they expressing sympathy, or you mean expressing distress, being
yeah.
sad?
Well, that's the same thing, isn't it? I mean,
I don't think it is.
I would say expressing your condolences as being sympathetic, or is it empathetic? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going off on a weird tangent here.
I don't think you really care, and neither do I. But
Yeah. No, but that was what came up in my mind is that there's been this outpouring, right, of grief, people giving their condolences, sympathy.
because that person's famous,
Right.
and these other people know of him.
Right.
If it was an unfamous person, then I'm pretty sure all the people that knew of that person that died tragically would be expressing sympathy or expressing,
But I don't think everybody's looking down on his family. Right? I mean, that's the part I don't understand about the looking down on sympathetic thing. Do you think that when someone's sympathetic, they look down on somebody else?
They feel that they're in a superior position, yes.
Okay.
Whether or not that equates to looking down on someone else, I don't think that it takes a tragedy for someone to feel like they are in a superior position to someone else. I mean, people generally always feel superior to other people,
Yeah.
knowingly or unknowingly. But the sympathetic thing is what I guess I really meant was looking weak. And that, came to mind when I saw a lot of people that are actually not in positions of weakness, proclaiming to be in positions of weakness, and how you need to continue to give aid or whatever to get this non-weak person out of this weak position that this non-weak person claims to be in.
Oh, and they have to pretend that they're weak in order to get the...
I don't know if they have to or not. That's just one way to get it. There's more in the realm of life and the way to do things. Yeah, there's more than one way to skin a cat, but there's really only a couple of ways to skin a cat.
I always found that expression very weird. I mean, who's skinning a cat, man?
Okay, possum, beaver, whatever, cow.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. My thing, and I guess I used the wrong word. I mean, it might not be sympathy. I always wondered why why certain groups always tried to put forth their weakness in order for others to, I don't know, help, not hinder more than likely. But when I looked at these folks or this whatever, it never really seemed like that group was actually weak. There might have been some weakness before, or some bad, or some, some discrimination at some point. But at the time when I was looking at it, the discrimination was very historical, and, it was a powerhouse group. And okay, so I'm a member of a powerhouse group, or a group that's supposed to be very powerhousey, and I'm not. Now, no one deems it. So okay, what if you're that person? What if you're a person that's part of a powerhouse group that is not a powerhouse? Should you be helped?
Yes.
But nobody wants to, because you're a member of a powerhouse group. They think that you're got all the power anyway.
That sounds like, you see, but that's not true.
But how come it works on the other end of the spectrum?
You see, that's just...
I mean, what if your group is pretty powerhousey now, but traditionally has not been? And so the members of that group keep on touting how they're not powerhousey, and how y'all need to, get out of the way, or help to get us out of this doghouse that we're in. But the people that always kind of proclaim membership in this hindered class, or hindered group, or are hindered, tend not to be very hindered in my book. I'm just like, wow, you're doing way better than I am. And
so I guess then I'm like, well, why wouldn't people be able to see through that?
Well, maybe they're blinded by their sympathy. I don't know.
If you see it, then there must be other people that be able to see it.
Well, I'm crazy, so I don't know. And I'm stupid, so, I might be seeing things that aren't there. Anyway, thank you all for hanging in on our extended version of today's podcast.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks for tuning in to Low Fat Podcast. You can find us on YouTube. Just search Low Fact. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Low Fat Podcast. If you want to chat to us, send us some comments, or have us talk about some things, just send an email to lowfatpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on our Twitter and Instagram pages at Low Fat Podcast, and also check out Andy's pages where he mixes our beats. Twitter and Instagram at A Fantasy Beat, and you can also find his wicked ass shit on SoundCloud at Artificial Fantasy.